Thank you for coming back to the Santa Barbara Real Estate Investor Association and Realty 411 Expo 9. I have Paul Finck here. He is my hero. I want to thank you very much, Paul, for being here.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Can I take it over now?
You can have it. It's all yours.
I'm going to go to videotape right now. That'll get everybody in.
Okay.
Do you want the most out of me this weekend?
Yeah.
Do you want to get the most out of this weekend in all avenues and all aspects of your life?
Yes.
Do you want to continue down the same path you have been? Do you want to get different results than you've been getting in the past? More results in your sales and your business? It is time to do it different. And my goal for you this weekend is to bring you through this process so that you go from unconscious and confidence to conscious confidence, and for those of you with conscious confidence, bring you right through to conscious or unconscious confidence. With a large family, 6 kids, 3 sets of twins, I had to figure out a way immediately to create the lifestyle I really wanted. Break this down. This is an and world, not an either or world.
First lesson, ask for what you want.
That's right.
Absolutely. Who here is interested in creating a new life for yourself? Raise your hand up high. Who here wants to, create just real abundance in their world? Raise yourself up high. Your hands, your body, and everything else. Because it's going to take a little bit more than just a hand raise to create that abundance in your life. Does that make sense? We're going to be talking about what it really takes to create that abundance in your world. What if, over the next hour, I was able to talk about that? The abundance, and, oh, by the way, do you want it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, right now.
When we say now, does that mean like today? Or does that mean a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? I've had people talk about their 20, 30-year plan, and for most of the people that I train and speak to, 30 years is not the amount of time they have. They want it now because their life has already been progressing and they're past their early years in life and they want so much more right away to really have the life of their dreams. I got real with my life, about 15 years ago. Got real with what I was doing. I'll talk a little bit about my history and about my background today and show you where some of the shifts were for me. See, I've known this information for 35 years, I just forgot to apply it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Who here is in that same boat? Yes. If I only, and the only thing I do, if I only just got you to apply what you already knew, would you all be millionaires? Yes? Who here knows that? So we're going to talk about what you already know, and you're going to see some things you go, yeah, I know that. As you go through this training and you say, yeah, I know that, I want you to ask a better question. Am I applying it? And am I applying it daily? We're going to talk about some of that and what it takes. Only what if over the next hour, an hour and a half, I absolutely show you how to make that happen in your life? Imagine what your life would be like. Imagine the difference that it would make in your future. Imagine what it would mean for yourself, maybe your loved ones, your kids, maybe your society, your community, your country, the world. What could you really make happen? I'll talk about some of my journey and how I've connected the dots and understand the butterfly effect. where the changes that you make today will create a tsunami of change for everybody around the world, or at least it can. I'm going to be talking about, Clipper's going mad on me. I'm going to be talking about the 5 Maverick secrets on how to create a highly successful business, highly successful life for yourself. Number 1, you must be different. Does that shock people? Most of the time you go to school, you go to trainings, and they tell you exactly what everyone else has done, and they say, do this. I believe in making sure you're not reinventing the wheel. However, truth be told, the millionaires, the multi-millionaires, and the billionaires are all the ones that have done it different than the people before them. They have created a little difference in their world, have shown up differently to create a different existence. It's why I'm called the Maverick Millionaire, because I have created millions doing it different than the average folk, doing it different than most people would think. And we'll talk about some of those differences. Here's a question for you. Do you want a different life? Do you want different results, different house, different car, maybe a different job? Who's interested in creating a different life for themselves? Raise your hand up high. Now, I'm going to make a couple changes right here. Make sure it's not blocking. I think that was the case here. Thinking, doing it different. Different action creates different results. Does that make sense? Different action creates different results. The challenge is that most people, what do? We talk about business, we talk about real estate. Oh man, I'm having challenge getting started in my real estate deals, so what do? I do more of the same. So I get busy analyzing more deals. I get busy talking to more realtors. I get busy maybe, talking to more bankers. However, I'm still stuck and not getting any deals. What's going on? You've got to really stretch yourself. Instead of doing a whole lot more of the same, what can you be doing different to create different results? And it's not just actions. What about thinking different? See, the same old thinking gets the same old results. How would we like to be thinking differently? What does different thinking look like? You're all real estate investors, is that true? Are you sure? How many of you have, let's just talk about the basics. How many of you have actually placed offers in the last 30 days? Now, we've got a couple people in the room that have placed offers. Now, how could you possibly get a piece of real estate if you don't place offers? Just want to ask. How is that possible? Yeah, people say, I'm a real estate investor. I want to tell you, you've got to get busy doing the things you haven't been doing to create the results you haven't been getting. We're hearing this. Let's keep going on this. So to do it different, you've got to be a maverick. You've got to do it different. And why maverick? Because mavericks do it different and they create massive results. Here we are in some of the examples of what I'm talking about. Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Richard Branson, they've all done things different. They've created a tsunami of a difference in their industry by really thinking and doing it different. Steve Jobs, you got to remember that Apple started iTunes. Oh my Lord, it was the cornerstone of evil for the music industry. Remember that. That wasn't that long ago. He revamped the whole industry and became a billionaire doing it. Amazing what happens. Every single one of these guys turned the whole industry on its end to make their millions. What are you doing in your industry? What are you doing in your marketplace to really make a difference and thinking and approaching it in an entirely different way to attract the attention, to create the opportunities? I want to tell a little bit about myself and why you're listening to me. See, all too often you come to events like this and you listen to people and you maybe take their advice. I was talking to people even today that said, oh, I got information from this place or that place. And They didn't necessarily discern, well, is that a good place to get information? Wouldn't it be necessary to know who's speaking and what their background is to know whether you should be listening to it or not? I can tell you to do something and you're like, well, all right, I do it, only if I didn't create success doing that thing in that way, why would you do what I say? So let me tell you a little bit about my background so you know, or at least you can begin to judge whether you should listen to me or not. First of all, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. It's 31 going on 32 years now. Been an entrepreneur for a long time. Matter of fact, I've never had a 9-to-5 job. I teach people how to be an entrepreneur because so many people got corporate jobs or some form of a 9-to-5 job rather than becoming an entrepreneur. And although they get into real estate and they know how to do one deal, they don't know how to make it sustainable. Who would like to learn how to make their business sustainable for them for the rest of their life? It's a really big difference. So learning how to do one deal is one technique and strategy. Learning how to make it sustainable so you build a business around it is what I'm going to talk about. So 31 years I've been an entrepreneur, started off with a psychology degree, went on and studied the human condition. The human condition on how people communicate, how people engage with each other. It's the cornerstone of every business. I guarantee you, you all have connections, opportunities, you've got clientele, one way or another. Business gets transacted. Only it does not happen without one very important thing. Another person. Every single one of your transactions happens with another person involved in the story. Do you know how to communicate with that other person? Do you know how to connect with them? Do you know how to really make it happen so that I'm known as an expert in negotiations, in strategies of communication? Do you know how to communicate with someone to get the best deal, or to create the best win-win, or to attract the most opportunities to your doorstep? Neurolinguistic programming is the study of communication. Who's ever heard of NLP, or neurolinguistic programming? It's the study of communication between me and one other person, and it's the study of me and a group of people. It's also the study of me with that chit-chat in my head. That's right, we all have it. You're not crazy. There's that chit-chat in our head that keeps on going no matter what we do. How to get control of that communication is what I've studied and become an expert on over the last 15 years. In addition, I went on and studied hypnotherapy and became a direct marketing leader. Anybody in multi-level marketing or direct marketing? Anybody? Real estate investor. Became a real estate investor about 15 years ago. Went on after I became a real estate investor, wanted to know the rest of the story, and became a realtor as well as a mortgage broker and a mortgage banker. So I know all sides of the real estate transaction and how it goes, what it does, and been consistently with doing real estate investing for the last 15 years. Done over $20 million in real estate transactions, went on and became a global negotiator and sales strategist. Also now I'm an international speaker and trainer. Who here wants to be a speaker, trainer? Anybody in the room? Nobody. So let me ask you something. Now, you go to networking events. Now, imagine a networking event, and most of you have been through one. How many have been through a networking event that has like 100 people in it? 100 people in the room? So you're in a networking event, 100 people in the room. How many people get up and speak? How many people stand up in front of the room? Maybe they raise their hand and ask a question. How many actually get a microphone in their hand and speak out loud? Out of the 100, what would you say the average is?
Probably 2%.
2%, usually around 5% I would take as a ballpark. So 5, maybe even a stretch. If it's really encouraged from the front of the room, hey, come on, speak, you'll get maybe 10%. So out of 100 people, you get max 10 people that speak. At the break. So a break happens. You have 10, 15 minutes, maybe it's the end of the night. Who gets the crowd of people around them automatically? The people that spoke or the people that didn't? What do you think?
Spoken ones.
People that spoke.
The people that spoke. So they stood up, asked the question. It doesn't even matter whether it was an important question, whether it was a logical question, or even if it was a magnificent, like, put-together question. They just spoke and they get people around them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How many of you want to be speakers? Here's a better question. Those people that spoke and they had us surrounded by people at the next break, did they get more opportunity than the people that didn't? Did they have more deals coming to their doorstep? Did they have more connectivity by the end of the night at a deeper level than the people that didn't speak? Let me ask some. How many of you would love more deals and more opportunity coming to your doorstep? How many of you would love to have deals and opportunity coming to you rather than you chasing them down? Learn to stand up at every given opportunity and speak. I don't care what it is. Just say something and you will get more coming to you than the people that don't. It's a simple equation. So learn to want to be a speaker. I've spoken in 8 countries, 3 different continents. I'm also a certified life coach, master coach, business consultant. I'm also a best-selling author. Here's my one of my latest books, Success Mavericks. This is a compilation of a few different of my buddies and authors from all around the world that I've pulled together. I've got a publishing house that put this together for us as well. So, here's a question for you. I've been a best-selling author 4 times. How many of you want to be a best-selling author? Raise your hand up high. Why? Why would you want to be a best-selling author? Many of you said you didn't raise your hand, so I assume that means you don't want to be a best-selling author. How many of you want to be a best-selling author? Why wouldn't you want to?
Sustainable income.
Sustainable income by being a best-selling author? How so?
People will continue to buy your book.
Continue to buy your book. A great, great answer. Absolutely not a reason to become a best-selling author. Because the magnitude, I sell one of these books, at best I make $5. It sells through Amazon, maybe I make 50 cents. This is not the reason to, because the magnitude, imagine you sell 10,000 copies of this book at $1 a piece, how much are you making? $10,000. Is that going to change your life any? It'll be a really nice vacation, but it's really not going to change your life. Why would you really want to be a best-selling author? Okay.
Credibility.
Credibility. Absolutely. You are an authority as soon as you say you're a best-selling author. Do people want to do business with authorities? Do people want to do business with experts? No matter where you are, you'll get more attraction factor with being an author, a speaker, a trainer of any sort. You don't have to do it at this level. You don't have to do it at this magnitude. Only be an author, be an expert on something. It doesn't even have to be absolutely connected with what you do. Just something to be an expert at. Then what happens? People want to interview you. Do you think you might have more opportunities when people interview you than when they don't? When people know who you are and what you're about than when you don't have an interview? People want to interview you because you're a best-selling author. And what will they interview you about?
Your book.
About your book. What's in your book? Why are they asking questions about what's in your book? Because they didn't read it. They just know you're a best-selling author, so they're going to invite you to interview you. And then they don't have to read the book. They just ask you, well, what's the book about? And then you tell them, and then they don't read it. So it doesn't even have to be a really good book. No one's going to read it. This is just the facts. The facts are most people that get this book will read the first 18 pages, nothing else. It's just the facts. However, because you're in the book, because your picture is on the outside, because you're on the website, you will get attraction factor, and because you're driven to bestseller, you will be absolutely in the game as an authority. Does this all make sense? These are maverick secrets that people don't tell you, however, they work like amazing to create a whole magnitude of results for you and a magnitude of where you want to go. So, best-selling author. I've done over $30 million in informational products. I've trained tens of thousands of people all around the country, and I've coached people in almost every industry. I keep getting surprised that there are more industries out there than I've ever heard of before. However, I coach people all across the nation and around the world now. Again, 8 different countries, 3 different continents, all around the United States, Canada, Europe, South Africa, Australia. Been training all over, and those components I've now trained in all these different industries. Maybe you see some that you recognize that you're in currently, and especially real estate investors. Because I teach real estate investors the rest of the story. It's not about the strategy or technique of real estate. You usually are getting that training already from other people. The rest of the story is how to make it sustainable so that you have a business model centered around it, so that you've cleaned up the rest of the garbage in your life. Who here knows that they've got garbage in their life? Yes, let's just be clear. Right? The other baggage that we carry around with us that prevents us from doing what the experts in real estate tell us to do. They tell us to do a certain model, certain step-by-step procedure, and then we don't do it. Why? Because, well, our daughter is having challenges and we went and ran to be by their side and take care of their challenges. We're going through a divorce. We have personal relationship challenges. We have challenges with other stuff, if you will. Imagine building up your confidence, being clear with who you are, and standing strong in your personality and your own skin to go forward and do whatever the real estate gurus tell you to do, step by step. And because of my background in real estate, I do a tremendous amount of work with real estate investors to really step up their game. Who here would love to double their income, double their production in the next 12 months? Raise your hand up high. That's what I do. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Here's the rest of the story. Something's going on with my computer. I apologize. Here's the rest of the story. I've got 3 sets of twins, 6 children. It's where my motivation comes from, or at least that's the most obvious place, isn't it? I went from a family of 4 to a family of 8 in 14 months. Think it messed up my financial security just a little? Man, I thought I had things covered. I thought I had it all taken care of. I was making about $100,000 a year. I thought that was great. That was my vision when I graduated from college. Make 6 figures, I'm there. Then I had 6 kids. You know, with 6 kids, the poverty level, man, six figures does not cut it. I looked up financial aid in Connecticut. That's where I live, actually. It's in Fairfield County, Connecticut. One of the richest counties in the country next to California. We're in Fairfield County, Connecticut. In Fairfield County, Connecticut, do you know financial aid, which means the government's told me I'm too poor to feed myself and they'll give me food stamps. I qualify for financial aid if I make $73,000 a year or less. Wow! It's with a family of 8. So understand, I was so close to poverty, I just didn't know it. I just knew that I was spending more and more money than I was bringing in. I was putting more and more money on credit cards. I was getting into deeper and deeper debt. And I projected out 12 to 18 months and said, all right, 18 months, maybe 36, maybe 48. I'm going to be declaring bankruptcy because you can't keep going in that way without doing something different. I look like this guy, too many bills, too little time, stuck, stopped, overwhelmed. Anybody ever experiencing that in their life? Just maybe. And over the last 15 years, I went from this guy to being the Maverick Millionaire and creating abundance and the life and joy in my existence for me and everybody else. Maverick secret number 2. You must fail. Isn't that motivating? How many of you are dedicated to fail? Now, I know some of you are like, what? Why do you want to fail? You learn. You grow. You want to fail, not just fail once. You want to fail every single day. How come? When you fail daily, it means you're risking daily. See, the challenge is people are afraid to fail. People are afraid to actually get in the game. Oh my gosh, what if something goes wrong? What if something goes wrong? What happens?
Start over.
Get up, do it again. There is no success, and here's what I look at. When I look at models of behavior, when I look at what I'm going to do in my life, I look at models of behavior. Here's successful people all around the world through millennium. Every single success story. I failed huge! I failed, and then, well, look, I have a great life. Then I talk to people that are just getting started. Oh, no, I can't do that. It may not work out. you'll never have the great life. Because the great life happens when you fail, 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 and then you find it. Then you find your success. When you're afraid to fail, you'll never find success. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're never taking the risk to jump forward with a leap of faith to create it. Take the risk or lose the chance forever. In real estate, especially now, do you have to take action?
Oh, yeah.
How fast do you have to take action these days?
Real fast.
We're in the hot market now. You'd better be acting quickly. And I mean now. You see an opportunity today, when should you be placing the offer? Yesterday. Absolutely. Because things are moving that quickly. When you're concerned about making a mistake, how fast do you take action? You hesitate. He who hesitates is lost. Take the risk. Lose the chance forever. Those are your choices. Take risky action every day. Fail. Fail again. Receive feedback. Repeat. This is the process to success. This is what creates amazing results. Learn to make that happen in your life. Maverick success number 3. Once is never enough. What do I mean by that?
Have more kids.
Have more kids. This is not a seminar on how to have more kids. That's a whole nother seminar. But anyway, the consistent, persistent behavior. You must do what creates success over and over and over again. So here's what I do, and I look at all my successes, and whenever I have a success, I have a successful deal, I have a successful connection, I put together a successful opportunity, I create a successful joint venture, and I trace the steps on where that success started. Does that make sense? So I'll trace it back as far back as I can remember, as far back as I can make the connection. Oh, well, I had this great opportunity. This is a real estate deal. All came together. I got the deal because I got it with this guy that introduced me to the deal. But how did I meet that guy? Oh, that guy, well, that was Joe, and he got introduced to me from Dan. And I met Dan because I went and spoke at the SBREIA Club. Do you see some of the connections? You connect the dots. Connect the dots in how you meet people, how you connect, how opportunities came into play. Did you do marketing for it? Did you go to an event to find those people? Were you looking in penny stavers, or was it online? Which website did you find it in? Trace the steps, because then what happens? You have a great success. When you have a great success, wouldn't you like to repeat it? Now you get to the point, I'm going to repeat it. Now you've got to do it consistently, persistently, to create consistent, persistent success. Does that make sense? It creates fire. Now, one of the things I talk about is the hand drill. Everybody know the hand drill? Yes. A few Boy Scouts in the room, right? You just take a stick and you rub it against another stick. Does that create fire? No, you need to take the stick and rub it over and 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 over again. That creates the spark, which creates the fire. It's exactly what you have to do in your life, in your business. Create it over and over and over again, doing the simple same things over and over and over again to create the spark that lights everything on fire. What are you supposed to do? What does that look like for real? And one of the things that I do is I apply the theories and philosophy that's out there to real life. So what do you really are supposed to be doing every day? What is that consistent, persistent behavior? Income producing activity. Income producing activity is what?